Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I'm audible. I'm visible. Yes. Okay. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. We'll wait 2 or 3 minutes as always. Very interesting things we have to cover today. Pre-INC polities or organizations. Very small topic. Then the formation of INC, safety valve plus lightning conductor, whatever you want to call it. And thereafter, moderate politics. This we will do today. We will do mains questions. As I told you, a lot of mains questions for your understanding of generally how to tackle the question papers. We'll have a discussion with regards to answer writing also. Proper standard discussion I will put in. I will give time with regards to that. And thereafter, on Tuesday, Monday is a holiday. You should know that Tuesday we enter proper nationalism. We will start with partition of Bengal, thereafter go into Swadeshi, Surat split, and then towards the Home Rule League, Gandhi. So by next week, Gandhi should be in our basic understanding. Perfect, great Prerna, perfect. Saturday, Sunday, Monday is a holiday for you. Not for me, but for you surely. Good evening, sir. Manage reading books. I'll do that, Deepshika, in the end of the class once we'll be discussing that. Anushika, there is an issue. I know that there's a glitch that should be sorted by most probably tonight. On the account of Guru Nanak Jayanti, Monday is a holiday. 27th is a holiday. We will meet straight on Tuesday. I have weekend batch, Saturday, Sunday. So for you, it's 3 days. For me, it's one day. British regime military was for expansion in Indian subcontinent. Police was controlling domestic threats. In a way, yes. Anshuka. Okay. So we'll wait 1 more minute. Quorum is still not there. Two more minutes. Yesterday we've already finished what is nationalism. What is nationalism? We've discussed the factors also. So today we will start pre-INC. What is the product of these factors and this nationalism? So we'll wait 1 more minute. Good evening. Good evening. No, Deepshika, only world history is to be revised once a month. Every other subject you have to do it either daily or weekly. Whatever is specific for mains, you have to do it less before prelims, more after prelims. We have to do pre-INC, Danny, pre-INC, INC, moderate politics, and mains questions as previous year questions. Mitra, email me, I'll get that sorted if there's an issue like that. No, the crown just took over. That's it. Keep realistic targets and you will manage time better. If you make unrealistic targets, then time will always seem as a problem. Sure, PU, that's a story, separate story altogether, but yes. Can we send, yes, all whatever questions I give you, you can send it to IS Live for checking. That's not an issue. I'm good, Sanskarna. Okay, so we start our new journey, which is early nationalism. Early nationalism. And with regards to early nationalism itself, we have already gone through the factors from understanding the contradictions to unification to role of press, Western thought, progressive character, and role of middle class in that regard. We now have to understand pre-INC organizations. You have to send it to islive@byju's.com, not to me. A ticket number will be generated. It will come to me from a different channel. Okay. Delhi and Kanpur story are examples to explain you two major factors or characteristics of the revolt of 1857. We'll talk about that, Prem Kumar. Okay. Now, we yesterday discussed the factors. We tried to understand the whole concept itself, how every module in a way gave us one factor which led to the rise of nationalism. But the first manifestation of nationalism was also localized was also localized localized and regional. They had their own separate demands, they had their own separate understanding, but these political organizations in a way were very important because they form the base on which the INC will be formed later. INC will become a pan-India organization, but these regional organizations are going to be important in developing a certain political consciousness. Political consciousness means that at least people were ready to come together for specific concepts and ideas. What I mean by that is that previously people rebelled. Previously, there were resistance, there was revolt, there was a lot of things. But during the 1860s period and from the 1857 onwards itself, we see a new way of expression. A new way of expression, which is not revolt and rebellion. It was about association forming. Association forming. This is something totally new. This shows a maturity in nationalism being developed or an early indicator of nationalism. Now, when we talk about the early organizations, they also have a certain characteristic. When we go to Bengal, the first organization which ever developed was even before the revolt of 1857, but basically is not a nationalist organization per se, but is Raja Ram Mohan Roy's associates, not Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he's already dead by 1833. His associates, people related to Raja Ram Mohan Roy, will establish an organization called Banga Bhasha Prashashiki Sabha or Prashashik Sabha. Banga Bhasha Prakashik Sabha. Now, you have to remember this because these can be asked as a question, both in prelims and mains, vis-a-vis either the chronological order or generally what are they related to. Not more than 5 or 6 names are there. But what is more important is to understand their issues. So when we talk about Banga Bhasha, this is not a nationalistic body. It is for social reform and cooperation with regards to that. Cooperation with regards to that. But for the first time, when people came together with narrow interest, which is called interest groups. You've done it in governance. Have you gone through governance or polity? You've heard about pressure groups or interest groups. The first interest group or pressure group was actually called the Landholders Society 1 year after Zamindari Association. And obviously, it was to protect the landlords. I'll give you one slide in which I'll write everything, don't worry. And by 1843, these organizations were now being topped up by one more organization, which is Bengal British India Society. This again is a conservative society which protects the interest of certain people but wants to disseminate the actual conditions of the British India people. But it is not something which they actually did. But what I want to point out to you is pay attention to the name. Do you find something very interesting in this name? Do you find something in this name very interesting? Can you tell me what is that interesting aspect? What is that catch in this name? The catch is that they identify themselves as British India. India as a word does not exist separate to British. So the first set of organizations which we saw is Banga Bhasha Landholder Society and British Bengal British India Society. Bengal British India Society. Now this is related to social reform. This is about landlord interests. And this is also about elite interests. And there are two ways to remember this. Either you can remember them in years or you can remember them like this. You have Banga Bhasha, landholder, and the Bengal British India Society. 36, 37, 43. Banga Bhasha means Bengali language. I'm not using the whole name. For me, Banga Bhasha is enough. Elite interest means the upper class, the zamindars, the rajas, all these people coming together. But what is interesting is that both these organizations, the second and the third one, represent similar interests. And that is why both of them will come together and create the first proper association in which you have landholders also and other interest groups also. And that is called British India Association. And this will happen in 1851. In 1851. These two societies will come together to form the British India Association. Now, if you look at their petitions, to the British, you will find the following things. Again, please do not learn this, just to give you an understanding. They are talking about establishment of separate legislature of a popular character. Separate legislature means a law-making body which is popular, means Indian in character. Separation of executive from judicial functions. Again, if you do that, they want a new service. Reduction of salaries of higher officers, which is a standard basic thing. Abolition of salt duty, abkari, and stamp duties. This is basically customs. And most of these were partially accepted by 1853 charter also. But you can see one thing. Pay attention. Except for the last two demands, both the first and the second, in a way have something in similar and something common. These are Bengalis. These are all Indian associations. What is common to both is that they are trying to seek employment in the colonial government. If there is a legislature which is based on Indian character, who will be able to fill it up? You tell me. Who will fill it up? It will fill up these elite Indians. It is these landlords. See, understand this point. 99% of the population has no access to education. So rather than opposing the British rule, they want employment in the British rule. So they're saying executive and judicial function separate so that new posts are created. There's a school, if you've ever heard about it, it's called the Cambridge School of History. Though I never agree with them or have never agreed with what they say generally, their argument is that nationalism rose initially, these initial organizations, not as a way for looking for India, as a way of asking the British for something. That we have come together, give us something. So what is the story is that these four organizations, in chronological order itself, what is common to all of them is that they are conservative bodies. And nationalism is secondary to the whole agenda. Conservative means that they are either looking for collaboration or protection. Are you able to follow the stand of thought which I'm going with? These organizations are not truly nationalist. They are just political organizations. These are political organizations, but they do not embody nationalism. Rather, they embody narrow interests of the groups. You tell me, would a landholder society, which has now become British India Association, would it look for reform in permanent settlement, or would it try to do good for the peasant? These are called, in a way, pressure groups only. These are interest groups. Would they talk about how nationalism should change? The fact of the matter remains is that these organizations are not based on an understanding of nationalism, but interests. They want to protect their own interest. Or they're like, give us something. We are educated Indians. We have studied English education. We can be of some purpose to you. Landholders are saying that please protect our interest under the concept of nationalism. So the point is very simple, very straightforward, which is that these associations are early manifestations of a consciousness which has not fully developed. Can I say that? Because this will be a stepping stone to something much bigger later. Can I say that? Okay, 1 second, just changing the nib of the pen. Okay. However, not all organizations were like that. See, the first proper association which interested people in nationalistic impulses was in London in 1866 by Dadabhai Naoroji. And you see how the association is omitting a word which is British, the East India Association. And what Dadabhai Naoroji wanted to do was was to show to the British people what the Britishers were actually doing in India, vis-a-vis what the newspapers were showing. But what is more interesting is that by 1875, we have Shishir Kumar Ghosh, who comes up with the India League. India League or the Indian League. Are you understanding how the organization itself reflects a nationalistic spirit? Wherein the word British had been dropped. The word British has been dropped. And Shishir Kumar Ghosh's organization will in turn be the stepping stone for the Indian Association of Calcutta, later called the INA, Indian National Association. It will be founded in 1876 by a young nationalist in Bengal, Surendranath Banerjee and Anand Mohan Bose, two very important moderates later. So now what is happening? Vis-a-vis these organizations, you see, vis-a-vis the organizations which we already had, which is Banga Bhasha Landholders Society, we had British Bengal, British India Society, which later came to be called as British India Association. Now there's a versus. It becomes a versus. Versus the, for example, East India Association, the Indian League, the Indian National Association. And the fundamental differences, you see, these bodies are what? 1836, 37, 43, 1851. So pre 1857, they are conservative, they are interest groups, and they are narrow in their approach. They are looking for collaboration or protection. But when in 1866, 1875, and 1876, these organizations are formed, they have categorically dropped the British word and they become nationalist organizations. Nationalist organizations. And this was to tell the real picture, and these was to arouse a nationalist consciousness. Now, are you able to connect the dots of how the way Indian nationalism is also evolving over a period of time? There's a shift, and that shift itself comes with the word British being dropped. But understand one thing. Can the right hand side, or what is above me, exist without that side, left? Can the right hand side, which is above me, exist without the left hand side? This is a very good point. Very good. Perfect. Beautiful. Which is only when these people are doing whatever they are doing, conservative or not, they are basically the roots out of which the tree of nationalism is going to come out. So the first obvious question could be to put all of them in chronological order, which I think I have done through putting this on one slide itself. And the other would be the nature of change in agenda. Nature of change in agenda. And they are the foundation and they are the beginning. This is all Bengal. But this did not mean that in Madras and Bombay there was nothing. In Bombay, a body developed by no one else but M.G. Ranade himself, will develop as called as the Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. And this was to bridge the government and the people so that the people's demand could reach the government. And thereafter we have the Bombay Presidency Association by Badruddin Taibji and Firosha Mehta and KT Tilang. Remember these names, you will think that do I have to learn these names? No. You will automatically learn these names because these all are moderates. Badruddin Taibji, Firosha Mehta, KT Tilang, MG Ranade, not properly a moderate, but economic nationalist. And for example, Anand Mohan Bose, Surendranath Banerjee, all are moderates. Either way, you will learn it. How pre and new associations are connected in the sense that the pre-associations, these early associations, at least bring in this sense of making associations. You may come together to hate something different. But later, this may become the process of coming together. I'll tell you what is moderates. Don't worry. You have to be patient for that. What I'm trying to argue here is all of these associations have their own place in history. See, you can be very, 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 very clear in saying that Panga Bhasha, this Landholder Society, this British India Association, they are not nationalists. Sure. But without them, there is no nationalism also. What I'm trying to do here is this: because you have a certain conception of history, which has been influenced by modern nationalistic understanding or modern politics itself, I'm trying to remove a major misnomer from you, which is that it cannot be that something which is conservative is not important. Banga Bhasha, Raja Ram Mohan Roy's associates showed that people can assist as an association. Mimicking that, landholders come together. Mimicking that, other elites come together. They realize, okay, we all have the same interest. So they all come together. But they are the ones who, after 1857, people will see that if they can come together, we can also come together. What is the connection between pre-nationalist associations and the new ones? Again, I'm answering you, Gib. I'm answering you only. You're typing and I'm answering you. What I'm trying to argue is all of these associations are the foundation of creating something as a beginning. They are mimicking each other and they are mimicking them. Today, for example, very simple example, because this is not a point to be discussed for so long. Understand this point. Today, for example, for a small thing, a very trivial thing that I should change the color of my pen, you all come together and say only use yellow. It's a trivial point. Literally trivial point. You have narrow interests. But now looking at you that you have made me change my pen color, you will say that sir should stand in the left to right hand side. Again, narrow interest, useless interest. But still, you're asking me to not be on this side of the screen, but on that side of the screen. Huh? Still, this is Banga Bhasha, this is Landholder Society. Then you come together to say that we should be given the PPT beforehand, which you already get, but you somehow don't know. So you come together for that. So again, narrow interest. Now, what you're doing is you're creating a precedence that, okay, people can come together as pressure groups. Now, what happens is, for example, one module is missed. It's a bigger issue. Now, before you, nobody ever pointed it out to me. I was looting you. I was robbing you of modules. You did not say anything to me. But now, looking at the fact that you have pointed out that I can change the pen, I can change where I stand. Now, you say that do not skip the module, teach us that. Now, from a narrow interest group, we have become a bigger interest group. And that is the East India Association. That is the India League. That is the Indian Association. From being called Abhishek Class Association, now you're called as the Class Association. You were associating yourself with me first, and then you are associating yourself with yourself. The word national itself gives you an understanding that there's a new understanding which is coming up. Is this making sense to you? How the first group is equally important for the other one. You first walk, then you run. You don't run first. Same way in the Bombay sector, Pune Sarvajanik Sabha is the stepping stone to Bombay Presidency Association. And it's not that Madras did not have anything. Madras also had the Madras Mahajan Sabha, 1884. Now, what I want to do here is I want to put all of them in one chronology. Can I do that? One slide, all of them in exact chronology, so that you don't worry about making that yourself and you can just look at that for revision. We can do that? Okay, perfect. So you have, I'll just write Banga Bhasha. Then you have Landholders Society. This is a very obvious question which can come. All British India Association. Bengal British India Society. Then by 1851 we have British India Association. Then you have the next set, which is 1866 East India Association. Then we have Indian League. Now we have to pay a little bit of attention because here it is till 1876, 75, 66. And here it is 1867. So Pune Sarvajanik Sabha will come between East India Association and India League. Pune Sarvajanik Sabha will come here. Pune one second. 67 and this is 66, 75, 76. Yes. Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. 1836, 1837, 1843, 1851, 1866, 1867. Now we have 75, 76 and 1884. And the last one is going to be Bombay Presidency Association. So we have the Indian League, then the Indian National Association, (1875), 1876. Then we have the 76. Then Madras Mahajan Sabha, 1884. And last is the Bombay Presidency Association, which is 1885. Now this I'm doing because in the process of writing this, at least you will learn something. But this is a very standard question which he asked in the examination. You can ignore the dates if you can remember the sequence. So for example, you have Bala Babri, Ipo, Lena, Mad Bomb. You can make it like this. You have Banga Bhasha Landholder Association, Bengal British Association, British India Association, East India, thereafter Pune Swajini Sabha, then Indian League, Indian National Association, Madras, and last but not the least, Bombay Presidential Association. You can make it like this also. You can make a better one, sure. These are the two ways in you can learn. Either you can learn the sequence. I'm the last one who will ask you to learn the years. Are you understanding what I'm trying to do here? Because these are called pre-INC associations. Pre-INC associations. It is a very important period because all of them represent a very important point I will come to once I will talk about the INC. Once I will talk about the INC. One basic obvious thing is that you see it is only 10, but in the book it is scattered around. So it seems to be a lot. It isn't. So you just have to basically learn the sequence, and the other one would be who are the people associated with it. That is another type of question which can be asked. Banga Bhasha is Raja Ram Mohan Roy, landholder Bengal, and these for next three has nothing. East India Association is Dadabhai Naroji. Pune Sajani Sabha is MG Ranade. India League is Sisir Kumar Ghosh. The Indian National Association is Surendranath Banerjee. And Anand Mohan Bose. Madras Mahajan Sabha, nothing specifically. Bombay Presidential Association, KT Telang, or rather will not write his name first, but Firosha Mehta. Firoz Shah Mehta. If you can remember this, it becomes better. Now, what I want to do is I want to just finish this area by discussing where they were involved in different protests, if you want to discuss like that. Are we all clear about this? Do these new associations have more public interest or they are seeking more employment? Now, till this point, you can see 1857 being the cutoff. They are conservative and they are early nationalists. Does this summarize what we discussed till this point properly? Yes. What to remember the first timeline or organization? You have to only remember Ram Mohan Roy Friends. Whatever I've written is the first thing you remember. Other than that, what you have to learn, you remember later. Now, what were their involvements? Again, do not learn this, but just to show you what were they involved in. For example, the later associations after post 1857, we call them early nationalists because you can see their issues are moderates are not early nationalists. For that to moderates to exist, INC needs to exist. INC does not exist before 1885. I will tell you everything. Trust me. I will tell you everything. If I'm not using the word moderates, there is a reason for that. So wait. Patience is key here. Everything will be developed in front of you. So post 1857, what are the things in which they got involved? For example, imposition of import duty on cotton. Now, is this something which will impact every weaver, or it is a narrow interest or a broad interest? It's a narrow interest or a broad interest? It's a broad interest. So that the deindustrialization process arrests or stops. But you see, the inner agenda still does not stop, which is Indianization of government services that give us the chance to become IS officers. But then they go against Arms Act, which is that there needs to be a license to get arms. Then Vernacular Press Act, we will discuss it when we discuss the press. Basically, it stifled the newspapers in Indian languages of not publishing anything. They will also say that we should have the right to join the army of the Volunteers Corps of England. They were against plantation labor, which was happening in Darjeeling. They will support a bill called Ilbert Bill. I will discuss this bill with you later, wherein an Indian judge could try a Britisher. They will talk for an all India fund for political agitation. Now, this is where they are limited. वो ये बोल रहे, they are saying that give us money so that we can agitate against you. This is the irony here. There's a little bit of faith in the British still. Basically, they're asking for money and all India political fund so that we all can fight you. Now, obviously, the British were never going to create it. They said that there needs to be a political party in England which is pro-India. They want to increase the maximum age at which you can give the examination, the ICS examination. The first concept is very simple. They were asking for one set which is broad, but the inherent conservatism is not gone, which is Indian Civil Services Agitation, which is we want access to the ICS. So whilst all of them are talking about broader issues, but they are still not properly nationalistic, early nationalistic, because they're saying, give us a little bit of employment. We want to be part of the ICS. And that is why the Cambridge School argues that the early nationalists were nothing but people seeking for employment. But that is defied by the fact that they spoke up at different junctures against other things also. Now, it is on this base that I have to discuss with you the formation of the most important body. This is the base, pre-INC associations. Anybody has any issue here? Pre-INC associations. Anybody has any issue here? Because I have to discuss a very important concept which is called safety valve theory. Okay. Now, pre-INC associations becomes the base on which the INC will be formed, which is the Indian National Congress. And now, first things first, my biggest request to you, because you all may have certain conceptions, notions, certain things. The INC which I am talking about has nothing to do with the INC today. The INC today is, I'll tell you the formation of it. It's called Congress ONR, the split between Indira Gandhi and this syndicate. So this is the Indian National Congress. This is the original one. So if there's something in your heart which you want to say to the Indian National Congress, please don't direct it towards this Congress. Only after 1847, or rather 1947, we can see the Congress developing. And it is only after Lal Bahadur Shastri and thereafter Indira Gandhi that your Congress appears. Please. So, request to you, keep all of that for later, if you have it. Now, got my point? Very good. Perfect. Why put the name Congress? Okay. Now, what do you call the atmosphere? What do you call the atmosphere? What do you call the atmosphere? You call it the atmosphere. What is this called? What is this called? Pen. Now, when some people come together, it's called congregation and congress. Association, congregation, congress. These are synonyms to each other. So, Girish, galti nahi. It's not their fault. They were using Indian National Congregation. Ironically, their first name was not even this. It was Indian National it was called Conference, INC. But they changed the name to Indian National Congress on the name of the request of someone else. Yeah, it was in between called Indian National Assembly also. But get it? Get it? Okay, perfect. Now, the INC, Indian National Association, in Indian National Congress, INC, I'll call it the INC mostly. INC formation is on 28 December 1885. 72 social reformer, journalists, and lawyers, mostly lawyers, congregated in the first session of the Indian National Union, as one of you pointed out. And there were two names for them, Union Conference. But when they will meet at the Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College in Bombay, they will rename themselves as the Indian National Congress. But in this Indian National Congress, there was one person who was standing, who was a white man and not a journalist, social reformer, or a lawyer. And he is considered to be the one who gave the structure to the INC. And the name on which the hall was booked was also Alan Octavian Hume, who played a very important role in its formation. Now, because you would have asked me where, when, this, that, I've given you the basic facts. Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College, UPSC doesn't care about that. Indian National Union becomes INC, Indian National Congress. 72 people, 1885, 28 December. If all of this is out of the way, that these people are together called the first Indian National Congress, I want to discuss the formation and the theory behind it. I want to discuss the real thing which really matters. Can I discuss that? Basic data is in front of you. You all are satisfied with the basic data? Yes? Okay. Why did they let they form? Very good question, Mehak. I'll tell you that. Don't wait. That is the question. Now, please pay attention to something which is critical, optional level, academic level, very important, can be asked as a question, has already been a question which has been on the radar of the UPSC. Now, please pay attention. The difference between INC and all things which you saw before, 10 of them, the difference was that those were regional, Bengal, Madras, and Bombay. However, INC, the social reformers, the 72 people were coming from different presidencies. Bombay presidency, Bengal presidency, Madras presidency, some part of other areas of India. So, in a way, it was the first time in British India was represented in one institution. Was there for one institution. One institution. But there's a question. The question is, what is this A.O. Hume doing there? He's a retired ICS officer. And he was the one who was instrumental in creating the structure of the INC and also in inviting some of these people. Now, A.O. Hume was actually involved in the 1857 revolt. But the brutality with which the British took India back, he got disillusioned. He's a liberal Britisher, one of those kinds who has a little bit of a soft spot for humanity. And A.O. Hume gets involved in setting up this institution. Now, how do we know that A.O. Hume is important? Because A.O. Hume has a biography that was written by one of the people who also became the member of the president of the Congress, Indian National Congress, named William Wedderburn. INC will be formed in 1885 and the biography of A.O. Hume will be written by 1906, 1908 by William Wedderburn. These are the two Englishmen who are involved. Retired English civil servant, commanded a battalion, lost faith in British rule, started to criticize British writing, political liberal who wanted to provide something to the Indian educated elite, mobilize the intellectuals. Now, see, AOUM's presence created certain questions. British involvement in creating the INC. And as it is till 1906, between 1885 to 1906, 1906, the INC seemed to be a very lukewarm body. Lukewarm because they all were moderates. Moderates, I will tell you, means that they did not have radical agendas. And that is why when later nationalists or extremists rise, for example, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal, Lal Bal Pal, they used to say that this INC, there's some catch in it. And it was Lala Lajpat Rai who used this word for the first time, that the INC was created as a safety valve for the British. And this safety valve concept got a lot of fuel into fire because of the 1906-1908 William Wedderburn biography of AOU. Now, see, in history, ascertaining intentions is something which is very hard. Ascertaining intentions is really, really hard because you could be doing something with a different intention, but it shows something totally different. Now, it is only AOU himself who can tell us why he was there in that meeting. That AOU can tell us. We have to dig up his grave and ask him, why were you there? We can't do that. So William Wedderburn came up with an explanation which suited that time. I'll tell you the politics of what he's going to say. You are following my train of thought. INC formed, 72 members. Britisher is standing there. Question have been raised. INC for close to 20 years is not basically acting like a nationalist body. It is a little bit moderate. Moderate means too collaborative. And the extremists, Balal Balpar, are getting very, very angry over the INC politics. So they use the word that you are a conservative body safety valve. Now, this idea is picked up by Wedderburn, and he now writes a biography. Now writes a biography. And that biography, he will start to now develop a Mangharant Kahani, a story which will add to this concept. But I will tell you what is the politics behind it. That whole story which he will tell. Are we all on the same page? Because then I will tell you the story, which is the safety valve theory. Okay. Now, according to Wedderburn's writing, which has now been called as the safety valve theory, which is basically a myth, safety valve theory. I'll tell you why. Safety. For the people who are very, very interested, safety valve, if you ever seen a pressure cooker, and in a pressure cooker, there's the CT, there's the whistle. There's also one small valve here. If by some reason the whistle is not able to leave out steam, the safety valve blows up so that it can lay off steam. So it does not become a bomb. So safety valves are important in pressure cookers. Okay, so now you know what it literally means. Now, Now, according to Wedderburn, Aoyum was sitting in his Aoyum was sitting in his office, and he was called by an officer saying, "Sir, look at these documents." And the documents he was looking at were 7 volumes of intelligence report in 1884. And in the intelligence reports, it was written that the situation in India at this point of time is similar to 1857. There is popular discontent rising, and another 1857 can happen. So Aoyum picks up the file, runs towards the railway station, and says to his assistant, "I want a meeting with the Viceroy himself." Viceroy himself. The Viceroy at this point of time, a duffer called Dufferin. Viceroy Dufferin is sitting in Dalhousie, has come down to Shimla, and now Aoyum reaches Shimla, meets Dufferin, and says to him, "Sir, another 1857 is going to happen. These 7 volumes of intelligence report tell us that something is going to happen." So Dufferin says, "What to do now?" So now, in the mind of Dufferin and Aoyum, they come up with a plan. The plan is to create an association which can act as a safety valve for the British and allow political discontent meaning anger, to come out in a organizational fashion, and not as a rebellion, not as a rather rebellion, not rebellion, not as another 1857, not as another 1857. Basically, what the safety valve theory argues is INC was a conspiracy of the British to create a body which could lay off that steam without exploding. So in British imagination, Aoyum is what? What is Aoyum? In Wedderburn's imagination, Aoyum is a hero, Messiah. If he had not seen those 7 volumes, another 1857 would have happened, and God forbid what Dufferin would have done. This is the core safety valve theory. Safety valve theory says Aoyum was standing there because he created a body which could act like a safety valve, and rather than these people coming together and exploding, they came together and now they're in a conference sipping tea and discussing how British rule is. How British rule is. Do we understand safety valve theory's understanding? What does the safety valve theory argue? that it is a British conspiracy. Aoyum and Dufferin came together to produce the INC. Everybody has to say yes, because then there's a dramatic climax here. Everybody has to say yes. Are you understanding this? If you'll read it out of the book, it is written in a very complex way. The story says only same thing. Aoyum got intelligence in 7 volumes of papers which indicated that popular discontent and dissatisfaction had increased. Another 1857 was inevitable and imminent. He goes to Dufferin. Aoyum and Dufferin together develop an argument that we need an organization which can lay off the steam and act as a INC, act as a British-based, British-controlled concept of popular discontent being discussed. A.O. Hume is the person, Alan Octavian Hume. Now, don't ask me after telling you the whole Ramayana, who is Lord Ram. So, please don't do that. So, are we clear about this fact that what is the purpose of A.O. Hume under Wedderburn's understanding? And INC is a conspiracy of the British. Everything what I've said is written on the screen also. Everything what you see behind summarizes what I've said. Can I move to the second part of this discussion? Don't jump to conclusion. Don't start to abuse the INC. There's something more to the story. Okay. How can INC act as a safety valve? Because I'll tell you, Krista, very simple. I was coming to this example only. According to Wedderburn, intelligence reports mean the intelligence department of the British came up with this data saying that people were conspiring, chapatis were being given, again things were being happening, something was going to explode, something like that. Now, basically, what is the equivalent of this story is very simple. I'll give you a very simple example. The equivalent of the safety valve theory is going to be that there is a mohalla. There's a mohalla. And there are children which play cricket. Children will play cricket. But there are nuisance to this mohalla. Break too many of the windows, too much noise in the time to sleep. And there are close to 15 households here. 15 children, 15 parents, meaning 30 people parents, 15 children. Yes, INC was a buffer, sure. Now, these parents came together and stopped the children from playing. Stop the children from playing. How will the children feel? According to Wedderburn, how will the children feel? They'll feel bad, angry. Anger will develop. So, according to Wedderburn, one day these children were doing conspiracy, were in the side discussing something. Fortunately, on that window, Aoyum was standing. And he heard the children saying, "We will burn every car in this mohalla." Something was going to happen. So Aoyum said, "Come here, children. What is the issue? You want to play cricket? Sure. Let's do one thing. Come together, write a petition to all the parents. And you see, things will change." Mohalla means neighborhood. Things will change. Write a petition. I guarantee to you, you will get justice. And these children write a petition, send it to the parents. And now Aoyum goes and says to the head of the association for residents, "I caught these children saying that they will burn all cars in this neighborhood. So what I told them was, write a petition, now accept the petition." So what Aoyum is a hero. The children here are the Indians who were going to do another 1857. So Aoyum, what he did was, he brought all of these children who were going to do 1857, and they said, you write something to the British as petitions, we will do something. And in that sense, Aoyum evaded a disaster. Are you understanding the safety valve theory? Here, the association which has been formed by the children is the safety valve. Therefore, the INC is the safety valve. It is a buffer, it is a channel through which all anger can be channelized to the British. All the anger can be channelized to the British. I know when I will make a diagram, it will make more sense to you. So why not be more artistic? So according to Aoyum, discontent was rising and there was pressure building up. There was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to go. And what INC is the safety valve. The INC. This will be a way of laying off that steam towards the British, and this will evade a 1857 type revolt. Can I now move to the second part? I have established his version of the story. Can I do that? Can I move to the next part? Does now anybody have any issue in safety wall? Literally made a safety wall for you, and I've showed you what is happening. Yes, I want everybody's yes here. I'm not getting the exact number of yeses. How many people are there? Are we, yes, clear about safety wall theory? Yes? Perfect. Now there's a problem. The problem is that Aoyum was standing in 1885. Wedderburn writes this in 1905, 1906. Now, between these 2 points, the INC had become a nuisance for the British. The British, when they allowed Aoyum to start, for example, the INC, the British told the INC, do not take up political issues, only take social issues. Firoz Shah Mehta, Surendranath Banerjee said, no, we will also discuss political issues. So on its creation, the INC actually became a problem, and by 1905, 1906, INC had close to 4,000 members, and its organization, when they used to meet now in the INC sessions, close to 2,000 people used to sit. Now, we don't know why Aoyum was there. We have no idea. We have no idea why Aoyum was there. But if I am Aoyum's family in London, and Lal Bal Pal start to strip the British naked, would the British be very happy about Aoyum? No. So the timing of Wedderburn writing this story coincides with the time when the INC becomes aggressive. So Aoyum may have created it out of mistake. But may have created as a safety valve also. But it had backfired. The INC should have been a safety valve. It turned out to be a gun pointing towards the British. So the way Wedderburn wrote this story is basically trying to wash or sanitize the image of AOU. उसकी गलती नहीं. It's not his fault. Not his fault. He created a safety valve. But a gun, it's a gun. What can I do? This guy saw the reports and he created INC. He is trying to sanitize the image of AOU. But what is more ironic and what basically tells us that safety valve theory is actually false and a made up story, because when India got independence, everything was documented by the British properly. The first thing which every historian ran towards the British archive was to look for these 7 volumes. These 7 volumes would be somewhere. Somewhere or the other, this AOUM 7 volume would be there, which was taken to Dufferin to show that 1857 was coming. Bipin Chandra was one of those young historians himself. But nothing. Nothing at all. No entry of any 7 volumes of intelligence in 1885. Maybe the British destroyed it. Okay. But there has to be correspondence between AOUM and Dufferin. That is also not there. There is no documented meeting of AOUM and Dufferin. More than that, when Dufferin had tried, when AOUM had tried to meet Dufferin, there are instances in which Dufferin did not meet AOUM. So, if we go by the evidences, this is a Wedderburn made-up story. This is a Wedderburn made-up story. Everything is written in the PPT, don't worry. Understand it first. Historically, sources matter. Sources are not there to prove that INC was created as a safety valve. Now, let's assume that he's right also. Let's assume he's right also. Tell me one thing. Would the British have allowed 72 Indians to sit in one hall and discuss anything if that hall had been booked by MG Ranade? No. So why are we assuming that AOUM used INC? What if these people were using AOUM? Therein comes the reply of the moderates to Lal Balpal, which is called lightning conductor theory. According to the lightning conductor theory, the British would have never allowed Indians to come together from different presidencies under one concept. So they used AOUM as a lightning conductor to create INC. So whilst the extremists would say that you are a safety valve, Gopal Krishna Gokhale used to say, he didn't use us, we used him. We could not have existed as an entity if AOUM was not there. So now it is the question of which came first, chicken or egg? Was INC using AOUM or was AOUM using INC? Get my point? Was INC using AOUM or AOUM using INC is the question. One is called safety valve theory and the other one is called lightning conductor theory. either way, we will never know. But the point is, in the examination, you have to argue one thing very clearly. Maybe Aoyum created the INC in his own interest or in British interest. That is your perspective of looking at it. But at the end of the day, can I argue that the INC was, like the 1857, a logical culmination of early nationalistic feeling? And this is how you write the answer. You refute the safety valve theory, arguing that the INC did not come out of the blue. It was a product of the politics which was happening between 1851 and 1885. So what I'm going to do to you what I'm going to do is that I'm going to read this theory out from the PPT, consolidate everything into one slide, and then I will be happy to look at your perspectives. But right now, don't write your perspective because it is going down. Don't write your perspective. I'll give you the chance. Everybody will get a chance. Can I just reascertain what I have to say, reestablish it, and then we can have a conversation about it? Can I do that? Okay. So, see, the theory of origin is that it originates out of the William Wedderburn story, which got published in 1913. 1905 to 1906, he was writing his biography. This showcased that lower classes were planning a conspiracy to overthrow the British government. Hume met Dufferin, the new viceroy, in 1884 and decided to establish an Indian organization. Whilst doing that, they wanted to establish this organization as a safety valve by opening lines of communication between the British and the Indians. The powerful and the long-standing myth, the myth of the safety valve, arises out of the question which William Wedderburn raised. The myth is that the Indian National Congress was started by A.O. Hume and others under the official directions, guidance, and advice of no less a person than Lord Dufferin himself, the Viceroy, to provide a safe, mild, peaceful, and constitutional outlet or safety valve for the rising discontent among the masses, which was inevitable, leading towards a popular and violent revolution. Therefore, the criticism which was used by, for example, Lajpat Rai, was to first use the safety valve theory myth of William Wedderburn to argue that the moderates were nothing but a mouthpiece of Dufferin himself, and the Congress was created to safeguard the British Empire. Later, even R.P. Dutt argued that the safety valve theory may be right. But understand this point, this is a criticism of the INC. They are taking this concept from William Wedderburn himself. Now, the problem with this theory is historical proof of safety valve theory was provided by the 7 volumes of secret reports which fumed the claim that at Shimla in the summer of 1878, which convinced A.O. of the existing of seething discontent and a vast conspiracy among the lower classes to violently overthrow British rule. There was a deep-rooted belief about the volumes as official documents that in the 1950s, a large number of historians and would-be historians devoted a great deal of time looking for them in the National Archives, but they did not find anything. And therefore, the formation of the INC should not be seen as safety valve. It should be seen that it was not a sudden event or a historical accident. It is rather 1950 after independence. It was the culmination of a process of political awakening that had its beginning in the 1860s and took a major leap in the 1870s and 80s. By 1885, the formation of an all India political organization had become a objective necessity, and the necessity was being recognized by nationalists all over the country. And therefore, the INC was not a random coincidence. It was the culmination of the ideas of economic nationalism and nationalists, which I will discuss with you. The INC was not formed in a sudden moment. It was a culmination of a long drawn process. Now, what I want to do is I want to simplify all of this into one slide, and then we can have a conversation. Right? Okay. So, 1885, pay attention. Anybody who has any gap, it should be filled here. 1885, INC was formed. INC was formed, and there are two theories related to its formation, which is safety valve theory and lightning conductor theory. Under this, Aoun and Dufferin developed, established, and conceptualized the the INC as a buffer safety valve between the people and the British. And the British. The INC was going to evade another 1857 by giving Indians a false sense of connection with the English. Lightning Conductor says the early nationalists used Aoun to develop and conceptualized all India, rather than an all India body which could transform nationalism in India. This is Wedderburn's biography based, used by late nationalists or extremists to criticize the early INC members who are called moderates, and moderates gave the lightning conductor theory. The problem in this whole story is no historical proof. No historical proof for this, and Wedderburn's way of justifying and sanitizing the image of AOU 20 years later. Now, what explains INC formation? Post 1857, nationalism was rising due to certain factors as discussed previously. Between 1857 and 1884, pre-INC regional bodies started to develop and argue against the British. By 1885, general consensus for an all India body culminating in 72 members meeting at Bombay equals to formation of INC. Now, this may or may not be safety valve or lightning conductor. This is the debate and question which only our beloved departed Aoyum can tell us. Unfortunately, his skeletons can't speak. Does this make sense to you? And I hope that this is something new you got to know today. Why was William so sympathetic towards Hume that drove him? He's his biographer. William Wedderburn was whatever he was because of AOU. So if in the examination they tell you how to what is the safety valve, you will be able to write it, and what is the real reason for INC, you will be able to write it. But such safety valve theory looks slightly more realistic, though lack of evidence, because you said AOU created INC, so we also need evidence that there are these conversations. मान लिया. Okay, we go with it that it was safety valve theory. You will discredit the body which gave you the independence to say that you are safety valve by saying that it was created by the British. In process of accepting, I have no problem in saying it is safety valve. For me, as an Indian today, as a nationalist today, I don't care if either is true or not. But if you're adamant on saying that it is safety valve theory, so you want to say that in 1947, the body which gave us independence was created by the British itself. You know what you're doing basically? You're trying to discredit the INC. But that is immaterial, because what the INC will become by 1906 is a separate issue altogether. See, I will say to you that by mistake you joined my session, or you were sent by your parents to this session, or rather, let's keep it very simple. I brought you here to make you clear UPSC, or you used me to clear UPSC. You cleared UPSC, right? That is the question which we are forgetting in this question. Understand this point? At the end of the day, doesn't really matter what the INC started with. This is a rhetorical point. In the examination, I will not write to the UPSC. I am giving you a diplomatic answer here. I am giving you a diplomatic answer here. I am telling you, don't stick with, at least don't stick with safety valve. Because what you are doing is, you are discrediting the most important body of the Indian national movement, out of which Subhash Chandra Bose, Sardar Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, even the later nationalists who became very important, BGB Pant, Acharya Narendra Dev, Jayaprakash Nayak, all of them were part of the INC. So you are trying to say all of them were created by the British. Sure. Sure. Okay. You say that, sir, you cleared the UPSC, and then you say, sir did not know how to teach. It's an immaterial point. Because you have cleared UPSC. This body gave us independence. Now it was a conspiracy of the British. So then the British should literally shoot themselves. Or it was our INC members using the British. Then hats off to them. Doesn't really matter. If this was actually, I actually say, if this was actually a safety valve, then Dufferin should change his name to Duffer. Because then he actually did something which was literally a duffer would do. He was literally dumb then. Because then either way the gun is going to shoot him. Doesn't really matter. I read that safety valve theory from book. It was plain without any proper meaning. Okay, now it is crystal clear. Thank you, Shreya, for that. Okay, I thought it was a question. Anyone else? Why William so sympathetic towards you? I've already answered that. Prem, I have answered your question. Can it be that AOU had helped in formation of INC with good intentions? Yes, you're going in the right direction, Khushi. With good intentions, by 1905, with the partition of Bengal, Curzon dividing it, he realized that yes. Basically, you are giving the explanation for the concept of the politics behind it. He started maybe with a good intention. His biographer had to sanitize his image, because AOU should be if I should go to the British Parliament today, there should be a photo of AOU, and they should basically take eggs and throw it on his face. Because why did the British go from here? Because of this Alan Octavian Hume. Neither the INC would be formed, neither would have got independence. AOU and Wedderburn was not appointed by AOU. Wedderburn wrote his biography automatically. Why INC is so successful and others are not? Because they are based on nationalist leaders, and I'll discuss that. That is because the base is called the concept of economic nationalism. They were an all India body, and we just needed a start. That's it. We just needed a start. See, I will just say one thing to you. You could say chicken come first or egg came first. In the end, the omelette was made, which is Indian national movement and the concept of India getting independence. Now, either you can discredit or credit. My understanding is, go with this. It's a logical culmination of nationalism. So, for us, AOU may be a hero. For the British, he's a traitor. Maybe AOU was a good person. Maybe AOU did not know what he wanted. By AOU to his gone. Hume would never had known that we would be discussing in 2023 if he was a traitor or a hero. That's the point. What position did AOU hold in British India? He was an ICS officer, retired after 1857, did not have the stomach to see the violence of the British. Arted Indian want to make one against British, that is why safety valve theory was wrong. See, most probably, to be very honest with you, we were too smart to do this. See, we don't trust our own relatives. You would think that they would trust AOU. The lightning conductor theory would be more plausible, which is that all these the 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 nationalists said, let this person go, let him book the hall, we'll figure it out later. Let this person act. Maybe I'm telling you now, I came to kill you and you shot yourself. Doesn't really matter who killed who. The person was dead. Maybe both theories are right. AOU was developing a safety valve, but it literally became a bomb. You also do it, right? By mistake, you do good things also. By mistakes, also, you do good things. It's a coincidence. In the examination, the question is going to be, what is the safety valve theory? Do you believe that it is correct? Or how was the INC formed? Critically analyze the safety valve theory. What is the lightning conductor theory? Is the INC's formation based on safety valve? Was the Indian National Congress a conspiracy of the British? Was Aoyum and Dufferin did Aoyum and Dufferin develop the INC? Critically analyze. The answer to this question is going to be this only. You will explain this and then you will talk this. Make sense? Why are they trying to show that the body that gave us independence was formed by the British national? Now, this is a very good question. This is the last question I'll take before I give you a break. Lahima, see, when the British were on with a heavy heart signing the India Independence Act, they still did not want to give us credit that we were smart enough to develop our own nationalism. उन्होंने बोला नहीं, nationalism we gave you. INC हमने बनाया. We made INC. We are the one who made INC. You did not. No. In the last dying moment also they are saying, you didn't develop nationalism. INC, the body which gave you independence, is also British created. So like every innovation in India, people, they would want you to believe that it was created by the British. Then you basically are going towards the British line. This is basically discrediting ourselves, right? They're taking credit for destroying their own rule. Basically, what they are arguing by saying that the INC was British national, they say, you didn't destroy us. We destroyed ourselves. So, you still are savages, you are barbarians. Transfer of power should not happen. Understand this point. By arguing that the INC is actually a safety valve theory or is a safety valve, they are trying to argue that we Indians did not have the intellect to develop a body. They gave us the idea. So rather than we Indians killing the British committed suicide. That is what they're arguing. AOU may be a good person, maybe a bad person. He created a body which killed British colonialism. So now it is upon you to see if you understand the politics. What is your opinion on AOU? I don't think about AOU when I go back at home, and I really don't care who he is or what he did, or was he a good or a bad person. I only have one basic thing about him. He created the INC with good or bad intention. That body later killed colonialism. So he may be a good person or a bad person, doesn't really matter, because that body is going to kill colonialism. So if you want to be a national, if you want to say that the body was created by the British, then you're undercutting your own history and your own nationalist and demeaning the people who gave you independence. And if you say it is a safety valve, then you're giving the credit to be very smart. And if you go by my line, which is that it's a culmination of the Indian National Congress, it is basically going to say if the British created or not created, INC would have been formed. That's the basic point. This, what is written in front of you, I'm telling you, if it comes in front of you in the interview, you would simply say that it's an immaterial if the safety valve theory or the lightning conductor theory is correct. Indian nationalism was ripe for an all India body, and by 1885, as it is as a former concept of culmination of nationalism, INC would have been created either by AOUM or someone else. Can I, on this note, give you the break? That it doesn't really matter if AOUM created it or not. My argument is India was ready for an all India body. It would have, as it is, got an all India body in that regard. Yes, is it like that gave us railways for their own good and it backfired? Yes, exactly like that. In interview history question will ask. It is totally on you if you want to discuss the INC and AOUM. Sure. Okay. So let's take a break. Let's take a break here. And we'll come back at, what is it, 6:41. We come back at 6:55. I'm giving you a bigger break because I want to discuss economic nationalism and moderates with you. Done? Okay. See you 6:56. Welcome back. Can we start again? Prelims question, when will you discuss? We've discussed prelims question last week. Today we'll discuss the mains questions from the area which we have covered till this point. That is previous year question discussion I will do with you. So don't worry about that. Okay. Now, we have ascertained what to do during break time. Drink water, close your eyes, meditate so that you can concentrate after it. Okay. Now we have ascertained that the INC is a logical culmination of nationalism developing in India. But there had to be something as a breakthrough movement as to why or what was the trigger behind it. And that is credited to the economic nationalists or economic nationalism. Now, economic nationalist or economic nationalism means let's see, between 1770, we cannot even say 1770, 1765 and 1860, there is a certain idea, there's a certain idea, and the idea is that the middle class intelligentsia developed a belief that the British are here to develop us, make us a industrial metropolis. And very simply, this is basically a faith in the British, which is development of the underdeveloped. This is what is the belief. Priya, concentrate on what we are discussing. That question will be answered soon. Yes, you can. Why not? But concentrate on the things which are happening in the class. So, yes, the answer to your question is yes. Now, this is the faith. And basically, we have no proof till 1860 to know if that was happening. or not? So the British were operating in India. The British operate in India with two justifications. The two justification to rules. One is called the moral or social justification, which is called the white man's burden. And second is called the economic justification. We are here to civilize you and make you modern, and we are here to develop you as like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, Wales. There are two justifications. This justification is destroyed by social reformers and scholars of ancient and medieval history. How is white man's bird? White man's bird a moral justification? Abolition of sati, infanticide, slavery. We are here to do good things in India morally. That is what they used to tell themselves to sleep in the night. That I'm doing good in India. All is well. Now, this has been destroyed by the scholars of ancient history, medieval history, Orientalists themselves destroyed it. Because we are the land of Aryabhatta, we are the land of Bhaskara, of Brahmagupta, of Kalidasa, of Vedas, of Upanishads, and the Arya Samaj and the Ramakrishna mission, along with other reformers, they showed that India is a very ancient civilization. Dinesh, in a way, yes. They show that what will you tell us? You said that one single shelf of British library is better than our whole education system and our whole scriptures. You fools till 1500 till 1492 used to think that the world was flat, and we had Aryabhatta who had already calculated the circumference of the earth and the distance to the sun. You say that you have these bogus institutions called the Oxford University and the Cambridge University. We are the land of Nalanda University, Takshashila and Vikramshila. You argue that your women have power. We have also Rudrama Devi. We also have Razia Sultan. We also have women who have been in power. Tarabai, Rudrama Devi, Razia. We also have it. If we are barbarians, you are no better. So the social justice reform movement destroyed the first. We have Rani Lakshmi Bai, Ahilya Bai Holkar. Sure, yes. The list goes long. Gargi, Lopamudra, Apala, saints writing in the Vedas. You have Allavars and Nayanar saints who are women. Mirabai, we are the nation of, we are the land of culture. If I remove, if I, if the British remove from their museum every piece of colonial artifact, what will be left is an empty room. You cultureless duffer bastards, you tell us that we are savages. That we are savages. Wales, Wales. So one thing is very, very clear. Now that you have developed a taste for curry and that you have an English Prime Minister who is an Indian, one thing should be very clear, that moral justification would never stand. So now somebody needed to break the economic justification. Somebody needed to break the economic justification. And this will be broken by the economic nationalists. The following set of men will systematically destroy the British argument of development in India. The pioneer being Dadabhai Naoroji. Dadabhai Naoroji started to study the basic flows out of India. He started to study the trade profile. He started to study how movement of goods is happening. Started to read about the Bengal, Bombay, and the what we call as Bengal, Madras Presidency. And based on that, he wrote a book called Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. Now, there's a problem in his understanding as it is, because he believes that what the British were doing in India are un-British. That is his moderate streak. But British did what they were best to do. What they best understood was to loot. But through this book, Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, he now talked about drain of wealth theory. Dadabhai Naoroji systematically showed through data that it was not the development of the underdeveloped, it was the underdevelopment of the developed. That since 1765 onwards, the British had been systematically looting us. You and me know it, you and me knew it, but Indians needed to know. R.C. Dutt, G.V. Joshi, and M.G. Ranade will add to this argument to argue that what Dadabhai Naoroji had ascertained was correct. So the expectation which the Indian intelligentsia had, which was basically the utilitarian myth, was that the British, being an industrial giant, would develop India as a productive force with the introduction of modern sciences, capitalist economic institutions. It is not only that the early Indian nationalists were unaware of the many political, psychological, economic disabilities. It's just that they believed that by supporting colonial rule, maybe that was necessary for the betterment of India. Basically, the expectation was, okay, peasants are dying. Okay, this is happening. Maybe that is needed to develop India like they need to develop. It is written in English and it is being told to the INC, who are English. Nobody is going to take that book and give it to a peasant and read. It's about our leaders' understanding. It's the nationalist understanding. So the basic expectation was, maybe what is happening is needed. Maybe you need a little bit of deindustrialization. Maybe you need a little bit of famines. That is the inherent faith in the British prudential mission that something is going to happen. The disillusionment will set in after 1860, when the reality of social development will come in front of everyone, and they will now start to notice that progress was halting in every direction and we were regressing as a nation. Was there any man in India who gave challenge to British knowledge and intelligence? Rhetorical, every man. It's a rhetorical concept. You're asking me to speak in Mandarin and to speak a Chinese, and for a Chinese to speak in Hindi. The equivalence is not there. I don't know Mandarin, he doesn't know Hindi. So how can we fight in that language? Same way, if you're asking intellect, how do you define intellect? That he knows how to run a steam engine? No, but he knows how to develop agriculture. Rhetorical point. Emotional question, rhetorical point. Now, Dadabhai Naoroji was the first man to say that poverty was not due to internal factors, but due to colonial rule. This is the main difference between anybody who was arguing before him and after him. That previously it was believed that the British are here to remove poverty, but it's rather the other way around. British are the reason for poverty. And in 1867, he develops the drain of wealth theory, which will be published in 1906 in his book, Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. 1867, what happened in 1867 further? Un-British means that British are known to do good. It's just that they're doing un-British things here. What happened in 1867? You have seen this date previously in the starting of the class. It's the same time when there's an acceleration of bodies in what you call pre-nationalist bodies. Is he an extremist? No, he's a moderate. Now, British rule caused only impoverishment, and it was a knife of sugar, meaty churi. Basically, now by saying this, the economic justification is gone. See, understand this point. Understand this point that till 1867, we all had a wheel. We all had a wheel. Your parents were taking you, saying that they're going to give you a big gift, and they had their hands over your eyes. Your expectation is that you will get a new phone, or you will get a new bike or a car. Something good is going to happen. And here comes Dadabhai Naoroji and removes the hand of the parents. And what you see is a plate filled with almonds. Whatever you like, whatever you hate, whatever it may be. Karela, whatever you want to like. Basically, Dadabhai Naoroji removed that mist, that wheel. He said, no British rule here, un-British rule here. They are not developing anything. They're not developing anything. They are destroying everything. And now he starts to estimate that 1/4 of the Indian revenue goes out of the country and gets added to the resources of England. This is what I told you in what is called as drain of wealth. The channels. Now, R.C. Dutt adds to it through his drain theory in 1901 in the Economic History of India. This is the book. And he has a very interesting analogy in which he defines drain. He argued that draining is like evaporation of water over India and this cloud raining over England. So the moisture was sucked up by the sun and descends as rain not in India but on other lands. He said that there is the moisture, which is the money is taken from India, but it does not come down as rain in India. It is taken to England and there it rains. G.V. Joshi wrote an article called Expenditure on Railways should be seen as a subsidy to the British industries. G.V. Joshi was the first one to say that this railways is not something which they're developing to do good. It is a subsidy that the British industries can go internal into India. He advocated for reducing the land revenue, salt tax should be removed, and income tax should also be imposed on the British, and import duty should be removed. He said the expenditure on the army was too much. And last but not the least, M.G. Ranade wrote in 1899 a book called Essays on Indian Economics, in which he said that heavy industries and Western education are important for the economy, but none of them have been developed properly. So, very simply, any regime is politically strong as long as the people have faith in their moral purpose. The British power in India was a combination of physical and moral force. The nationalist critique undermined the foundations of British rule. And now the critiques will basically show that India was becoming economically backward. What is this question? England, what is happening here? Is the reason why Britain's human development is significantly high. That has nothing to do with we were colonialistically dominated. That is why we don't have human development. See, understand one thing. Please, it is very, very clear. Very, very clear. The link is for just the picture. Please be very clear. I am teaching you modern history. Yes? Yes or no? I am teaching you modern history. And if I bring a question of geography here, am I evaluating you in the right way? Now tell me one thing. In a country which has been dominated for 250 years, it was looted of all its money and it was destroyed from length to breadth. And then you come in 1950 and say to me, human development thoda kam hai. It is a little bit low, human development. And how do you calculate human development? 12 years of schooling, per capita income PPP, generosity, for example, what's called human happiness index, generosity, social, what we call as social opportunity. Of these big words, what do they mean in India? So if I'm going to use your level, if UPSC checks you on how good you know Chinese history, then what is the point of that indicator? So understand this point. All these indexes which you see are politically motivated. We have no money. What generosity we will show? Social opportunity. Opportunity. Only one exam is there for everybody. Then what is the opportunity available? With the population which is there. Understand this point. These are absurd, very Eurocentric, European first world things. That I'm a vegan, I don't eat certain things. In India, people are dying of hunger. And if you give that person milk, he will say, no, I'm a vegan. I will not eat it. These are first world problems. So when you say that human development of Britain is better than India, you are forgetting one thing, that same country ruled us for 250 years, and every penny which they have in their economy was taken from India. And this is what M.G. Ranade, this is what G.V. Joshi, this is what Dadabhai Naroji is arguing. This is what they're arguing. They are saying that all this drama which the British is doing in India, it is all just a drama. They have been saying they are developing us. They are not developing us. See, for you and me, you have already done economic history with me. This is not a revelation. But for the people who had been asking for ICS jobs from the British, it is a groundbreaking moment. Because finally, now the illusion is gone. Now that specs in which it used to show that yes, India is getting developed, it has broken. Understand the implications of these four men, what they have done to British rule. It is not a coincidence that once they start to argue these things, that nationalism in India became more and more aggressive. They are the people who changed the Orientalist project into a suicide mission. They are the products of modern education. They are the middle class intelligentsia. They are the Western educated elites. They will turn from loyalists to nationalists. And they will turn every educated Indian from a loyalist to the nationalist. That is why, see something. I'll show you something. Look at the composition of the INC. 1885, 86, 87, 1888. Total members coming by 1888 were 1200. Look at their composition. Lawyer, journalist, doctor, others. Others is also educated Indian. How is that only lawyers are turning up to be? Gandhi was a lawyer. Nehru was a lawyer. Motilal Nehru was a lawyer. Because they were the product of colonialism. And now they have turned their back on them. Answer provided does not match with the concept taught. I don't know which question you're telling me, what concept, and how does it get linked. I have no idea what you're saying. Substantiate, Krishna. What I'm telling you is very simply the fact that these four men changed the way nationalism was seen, or changed the way how British colonialism was seen. There were two justifications to British rule in India, and the economic nationalists broke the second justification. Second justification. Can I now move forward? If you understand the importance of these men. So if Ramesh Chandra Dutt is against Britishers, so why he wore coat pant British, he wear boycott this wear? आ गया 2023 type nationalism. So he should have wore dhoti and kurta and then said that it would have meant right. This is your conception of nationalism. Come on. So your understanding is he should have gone back to what he was and then argued that, okay, now British are right. This is the shallowness of our nationalism. Na? Because what you wear, what symbols I will wear is my marker of nationalism. You're saying yes, sir, also. So then how do you explain this man? So he should have worn something else. Look, see, understand what you are saying once. Just putting a status, my thoughts with Israel, does not do anything to Israel or to Palestine. This is the shallowness of fake nationalism and nationalism which we see today. This is what you're trying to do. So R.P. Dutt should tear his clothes, wear what he was wearing in 100 years back, and then argue that, okay, now I can argue the British. You accept what is good and what is bad. He is not there to fake it. He is literally destroying the British argument. For that, he does not need to change his appearance. Very trivial point, but dangerous form of nationalistic impulse. Can I now go on to discuss what were the different estimates given and then the moderates? Okay, perfect. Now, based on this nationalist impulse, there were different amounts which were decided. Different amounts decided, and different people were able to ascertain how much money was taken. Nobody knows how much, but do not learn this. Exact number, nowadays one Shashi Tharoor number is always in front of everybody, which people quote, that 45 trillion. But that is also an estimate. That is also an estimate. The real value may be much higher than that. Now, what Governor of Bengal himself had calculated was 4.9 million pounds in the first 5 years of Diwani, meaning 1765 and 1770, 4.5 million pounds. R.C. Dutt argued that one half of the net revenue of India used to flow annually out of India, which is whatever be that amount, half of it used to go to the British. 20 million pounds, close to 2 crore pounds. Historian, his name is Doe, he argues 1.4 million pounds a year were lost till 1770. Again, M.G. Rande, 1/3 of the national income was taken away. So his is 1/3. Again, don't have to learn this. This is just a way to they're trying to estimate how much it is. Another historian, Digby, argues that 3 crore pounds or 30 million pounds was drained out of nearly half of total revenue. Dadabhai Naroji said that 12 million pounds per annum used to go. Now that is the point. How much is that pound is totally circumstantial. That is the point. The pound at this point of time is 100 rupees. It could be a very big amount. Very, very big amount. That 30 million pound would be close to 50-60 trillion. Could be anything. Estimated together. Some historians argue that the total drain was around 17 million pounds, less than 2% of total Indian export. Naroji argued that all potential surplus which could be used to develop India was taken away. R.C. Dutt says that drain mainly of land revenue caused impoverishment of the peasant, and any prospect of employment, income, and capitalist economy was gone. See, doesn't really matter how much this amount is, because it is a huge amount. But because the British were so slimy that when they used to trade with us, they used to pay us in silver. But when they used to make us pay for something which they were getting, they used to pay in gold. Now, gold and silver fluctuation and amount you don't need to learn, but it is a very big amount. 45 trillion, if you want to put it at that sense, but it could be much bigger than most of the economies of the world today together. Because gold and silver, at the value, at the quality, at the purity it was taken, we have no idea. So imagine how much went and how backward we went according to that. So based on this argument, think of it how forward we have come. I will be teaching you post-independence, and I'll tell you what we were on 16th August 1947. From where we were and where we are today, it is a astonishing feat that we have become what we have become today. It's not because of one political party or two political parties. It's because of the resolve of Indians. It is the strength of the Indian constitution, which stood by everything which happened in India. But before we start now, proper nationalism, moderate politics, which dominated the INC between 1885 to 1905, I want to ask you one simple question. Since we met at 5 o'clock, I have discussed with you early nationalistic bodies, the theory with regards to INC's formation, and the issues related to how that INC formation is a culmination on based on economic nationalist argument. Are we all clear about this? Because we do moderates, we reach till moderate politics, we'll finish that, we will do mains based questions, previous year questions, and on Tuesday we start Swadeshi. That is the most important. Are we all clear about this? This is all a theoretical discussion. I'm trying to again develop something in your mind. Okay. The name of the books of these four men needs to be remembered. Now, between 1885 and 1905, see, INC has been divided into certain phases. INC between 1885 and 1905 is called moderates. Between 1905 to 1915, it is called extremist phase, and then 1915 to 1940, it's called Gandhian. And then 1940 to 47, it is popular mass movement. Basically, after 1940, more or less, Gandhi lost control over the INC ideologically. If Britishers were not looted our country, can India become developed country? Sure. Hypothetical question, sure. So we are discussing this. Moderate politics. Now, when the sessions started to develop, you can see how exponentially the INC's members are increasing. But what is common to all of these men is that they are product of colonialism. Now, why do we call them moderates? The word moderate is used to attribute to their methods and conception of British colonialism and rule. Now, the moderates have two arguments and they have three methods. See, the moderates are conservative in nature. I'm coming to that. What do you mean by products of colonialism? Produced by colonialistic policies of education policy. Now understand this point. Dadabhai Naoroji is a moderate because he says poverty and un-British rule in India. Now the following men, W.C. Banerjee, Raj Bihari Ghosh, Surendranath Banerjee, R.C. Dutt, Dadabhai Naoroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Firozshah Mehta, Justice Ranade, Naidu, Subramanian Iyer, Ananda Charlu, Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, Hume and Wedderburn. All these together are called moderates. All of them are called moderates. And they are moderates because they believe that the British, there is something wrong with the British because they're doing something which the British should not have done in India. That is why un-British. See, according to them, and you can't basically blame them, according to them, they believe that Britishers are inherently good. They are inherently good. They believe in British benevolence. So they argue that British are benevolent, but unaware of reality in India. And their task was, we will make them conscious of this reality, and they will surely respond. Basically, British colonialism needs reform. Reform colonialism, not reject colonialism. See, their argument is very simple. Their argument is very simple. Their argument is that British are good, but they don't know what is happening in India. को पता नहीं, they don't know. They don't know that permanent settlement is killing peasantry. They don't know that commercialization is destroying indigo. They don't know indigo rayat is dying. They don't know that they are looting us. They were trying to do good. But if I will tell them, see, India is getting looted. So they will surely do something. They will surely do something. So they're like, let us tell them. Now, how will we tell them? The 3 P's of the moderates. Please give us position in ICS. Please remove the taxes on goods. Please no deindustrialization. Please remove this permanent settlement. If not, I will write a sternly written letter to you that please remove it. And if you will not see my letter, I will still come and meet the DCDM, and then I will say, please remove it. Prayer, petition, and protest. That you, the British, do something. Prayer means request. Request. Basically, the concept was they were going to request the British to stop looting India via petitions and constitutional protest. So there was protest means, see, it's not that they are going to take 1 lakh people and lock. No. 1 lakh people on the road saying go back British. No. Not that. We all will come up, meet the district collector and say to him, see, the peasantry is dying, do something. So constitutional protest means that it is within the machinery itself. Please comes under the prayer, petition is just writing letters, and protest is constitutional protest. So basically they are not radical. They're not radical. They are conservatives. That's what they call moderates. They are moderates. They believe in the British still. The sense of belief. I'll change your conception a little bit, but for that I have to just read the portion out of the PPT. Can I do that? Consider I have not seen your. Did the moderates think that we were always under British rule from the beginning? No. They believed that British rule was good for India. Maybe the British did not know what they were doing. See, un-British is a very important word. Think of it like this. Americans went into, for example, American help made Israel very good. American help made Saudi Arabia very good. American help gave a lot of arms and ammunition to Pakistan. Americans were doing good in certain sectors. South Korea, Israel. So our moderates thought that if we go into an alliance with the Americans, we will also get something good only. But basically, we are now Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi, created by the British, created by the US, and destroyed by the US itself. So we thought that if we will be with the British, they will do good two things. Like how New Zealand was being developed, how Australia was being developed, how Canada was developed. So we thought we'll remain with the British, maybe they will also develop us like that. The economic nationalists break that argument. But now what they believe is that, okay, maybe the British forgot how to do it in India. So let's remind the British to be British rather than being un-British. They are not, they are basically calling a tiger a cat and asking the cat to be a tiger. Are you getting my point? Basically, they don't realize that the British are inherently looters. They are going to the British thinking that they are going to do, they wanted to do good. Galti se ho gaya. That's the fault. By mistake, they did it. Understand the logic here. See, I'll tell you this was important also. I'll tell you that we can ridicule the moderates quite a lot, and people have, but I want to change your perception about them also. That British are inherently good, but they are now acting un-British, which is not good. Correct, Himanshu? That British are inherently good, but they are acting un-British, which is not good, which is called the benevolence of the British. That they are benevolent, they're good to us, or they should be good to us. Now, see, moderate stands from an immature beginning that was gradually transcending the growth of a full-fledged, mature, complete nationalism. Characterizes the demand and adoption of moderate means. Now, what do I mean by moderate approach? This can come in the examination. Very important question. What is the moderate approach? The moderate political activity involved constitutional agitation within the confines of law and showed a slow but orderly political progress. The moderates believed that the British basically wanted to be just to the Indians but were not aware of the real conditions. So they had a two-pronged approach. One, to create a strong public opinion, to arouse the consciousness and national spirit, and then educate and unite the people. Two, to persuade the British government and the British public to introduce reforms in India in lines of laid by the nationalists. So basically, they wanted to reform colonialism. See, they are literally drinking poison thinking that the poison is good. That's the only point. They use the method of prayer and petition, and if that was failed, resorted to constitutional agitation. And again, do not learn this. Do not learn this. These are the demands which they embodied. Now you see the demands and you will automatically realize why do we call them the moderates. Abolition of India Council because it prevents Secretary of State from working for Indian welfare. Now do you get the level of indoctrination these people have? They are saying that the Secretary of State wants to do good. It is the Governor General of India is not allowing them to do good. Is Britishers helps to Britishers? They do. Moderates help Britishers? No. The moderates believe in the Britishers. I'll tell you why that is the case. Please understand. 2 new Indian members in the Viceroy's Executive Council. Increased participation in provincial and central legislature. 50% elected representative in local bodies. New council in Northwestern Frontier Province, which is Afghanistan and Punjab. Budget should be referred to legislature. Right to appeal to standing committee of the House of Commons in Britain. India Council, India House. Secretary of State's office. They also wanted civil services reform, simultaneous exam in London and India, age should be 23. Indianization of Indian civil services will decrease racism and provide better response. Only 1922 that they will get separate examination, 1924 first examination, which is Allahabad and Britain. They also wanted decreased military expenditure. Indian army was used by Britain in Africa, Asia, that should stop. There should be small fraction of military expenditure which should be shared by the British also. Render insignificant with low exchange rates as it is. Indians should be taken into the army only as volunteers if they want to be. British should shiver at the thought of the past Bengal and Awadh armies, should know that the army should not be with Indians but should be Europeans. Basically, don't let the Indians enter the army itself. And the only contribution of the moderates was that I will discuss with you on Tuesday, the government of the Indian Council Act 1861. After 1861, the next Indian Council Act will come in 1892, exactly in between moderate politics. And there was no real impact on British policy at all. The fact is that moderates are based from urban centers, Bombay, Madras, Calcutta. They are upper caste and elites, zamindars, lawyers, and doctors. And they don't believe in the rural masses or masses itself. They don't believe that the people can be nationalists. They have to tiptoe around and basically tell the British that there's a problem. They have no pan India organization properly. They just meet from time to time in certain areas. There was a criticism from the extremists that the INC session is nothing but a 3-day holiday which these people do every December in some part of India. So if I talk to you about the demands of the moderates, now please I need to have a conversation with you. Moderates are prayer petition, reform colonialism, and the concept of belief in the British. Their demands are mostly to get into the colonialistic structure only. Give us council entry, give us ICS. They all are seeking a lot of employment. So understand this point that the moderates are moderates. Prayer, petition, and protest. And the moderates are based on a certain politics which is based on basically pleading to the British. Are we clear about moderate politics, moderate issues, moderate shortcomings, and moderate understanding? Because now I need to do something which is important. Now, everything till this point makes sense to you. I have been gradually progressing from pre-INC to INC to moderate politics, showing you how nationalism is developing and basically blossoming slowly. Now the question remains, is that it's very easy to do moderate bashing. Very easy. Prayer, petition, please, please, please. But understand the politics of the moderates. In 1885, they have come into existence. And if in 1886 they say go back Britisher, would the INC have remained till 1905? See, the moderates are not moderates because they want to be moderates. Moderate politics is a necessity of the INC at this point of time. Between 1885 and 1905, INC has no other option but to be moderate. These people were not dumb. They are not dumb. They are not moderates. Yes, they are believing in the British at one level. But remember one thing, without moderate politics, cannot be extremist politics. Lal Bal Pal cannot exist in 1886 because then the British will shoot all three of them. Moderate politics is a necessity in the first 20 years of its existence, because then the British don't kill this body which is going to become significant. Understand this point. Understand this point. Moderates were moderates to keep nationalism alive. And I can tell you very clearly, every child in India and every man and woman in India has been a moderate and extremist at the same point of time. You want to know how? Moderate politics is actually built into us. You want to know how? You want a new phone? What do you do first with your parents? Moderate politics. Prayer, petition, constitutional protest. Please, my phone is not working. Please give it to me. I need a new phone, please. Then you will send a message to your father or mother, petition. Please. And if you are not going to get, if you're not going to get anything still, maybe you will not eat lunch or dinner one day as a form of protest. That is your moderate politics. Please. Can't rebel. See, moderate politics allows you to play it out. Maybe you'll get something out. It's not that your parents don't want to buy you your phone. Maybe they are not aware that you need a phone. So you are making them aware that you need a phone. But now once you have gone through the moderate phase, you go into the extremist phase. Bell rings, won't go only. Now your protest is changing. You will throw away things. You will throw the phone. You will throw their phone. You will categorically now start to do revolutionary activities in the house. Talk back to your parents. That is your extremist phase. And in a way, all phases of nationalism are embodied in you, because then you'll go to Gandhian phase. When I will teach you Gandhian phase, non-cooperation and civil disobedience. Non-cooperation, what? You're right in front of them, pass me water. I am deaf. Non-cooperation. And come back by 8 in the night. You won't. Civil disobedience. Somehow you will convince your oppressor that you want a phone. So you don't know it, but you're a moderate. Moderate politics is necessary for extremism to rise. And if we start to become, in the first instant itself, you say, I want a phone. If not, I'll burn the house. You think your parent or your father and mother will tolerate what you said? Give me the phone. If not, I throw the dog away out of the house. That is your extremist politics. As soon as you wanted something, you started to do extremism. The phone which you have will be thrown away. You'll be locked in the room and no food will be given to you. That is the response of the oppressor. That is why, understand this point. Every child first runs behind his parent before he cries. So moderate politics is necessary, and understand this point. One second. Now, one second. Yes. Now, this is happening above me, so I can't control that. Okay. So what I mean to say, can you hear that? Can you hear that? Drill machine, drill machine. British, they got to know we are discussing them. This is British intervention. My voice is not audible because I've stopped. I can't speak over that. I'm trying to play it out. Moderate politics. If not, I will do extremism, call somebody. Okay. Now, the point is, moderate politics is necessary for extremism to rise. Do you understand this point? Because if you do, then I want to discuss the mains questions. In a way, whatever I had to teach you till today is clear. Now, very important discussion, which is the mains questions which have come from the modules we've covered till this point. I want to discuss the answer writing with you. I can do that? Yes. Whatever I've taught you, I've started at 1857. I've reached till 1885, till 1905. On Monday, I will go in a different direction. Indian Council Act 1861, Indian Council Act 1892, then Swadeshi, and Swadeshi, and then we'll move towards the concept of extremist politics, Surat split, and then we'll move into nationalism. Right? Okay. Now let's look at the questions. Okay. Now, understand this point, that what I expect from you. Now, please pay attention. You all have been dying for this. So listen to me and don't think you can watch this video later, because I want you to be here. Nobody goes nowhere. Now, when we talk about mains answer writing, the expectation in a history question is going to be, obviously, like every examination and every question, you have to write three components: introduction, body, conclusion. Introduction, as it says, is to introduce the concept. Mostly in history, this is the historical context, and this has to be written in para form. Body is point wise, either refuting, supporting, or adding to the argument. And conclusion is para form, either impact, significance, or consequence. Why am I asking you to write para, point, para? Because this is a very important way in which you write aesthetically good looking answers. Don't write, you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can make dots, but don't start to become Da Vinci over here, that you're starting to make stars like this. Nobody has the time and nobody really cares. Now, 150 words, 250 words. These are the two words which you have to write. 250 words. These are two answers which you write. Pay attention, stop typing. 150 words, 250 words. 10 marker, 15 marker. The number 100 to 150 words has to go here. 20 to 30, 20 to 30, or maximum 50 words. This will modulate. So basically, a lot of you, everything needs to be written in English. Don't write English, Hindi, English. Everything same. If you're writing in Hindi, all Hindi. If you're writing in English, all English. Can't be a khichdi of two languages. Now, three things Total how many pages should write? Now pay attention. See, listen to me, listen to me. 150 words and 250 words, how much it will come in a page is a matter of your handwriting. Somebody can write very big, somebody can write very small. The point is that by looking at an answer, by looking at an answer, I can make out if you've written 150 or 250, because a 300 word answer and a 250 word, there's a slight difference that you can make out. Because I have seen a lot of you write such big introductions, 3 points, and then small. This means that you've overexceeded the word limit. UPSC examiner is not going to sit there and start to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He does not have the time. Nobody's counting your words. 10, 15 up down is not a crime. But for 250 you write 500, then everybody will be able to make out that you've written too much. So nobody is counting it. It is all based on basic aesthetics. Nobody counts, and please don't count in the examination. The more you will write, the more you will understand how many is 250 words. I can make out by looking at a question if it is 250 or 150. That much I know, because I know how much 250 looks like and 150 looks like. So it's basically like your mother. She knows how much salt will go. You can calculate what she's putting in, but she knows how much salt will go. She's not having a measuring tape or a measuring. She knows how much has to go. You can write below also, and you can write slightly above. That is not an issue. I write 115 one page, 215 1.5 pages. Very good. Perfect. No issues. No issues. Not a crime. You're not doing something out of the box. Totally fine. Now, there are 3 more rules to this story before I go to the questions. 3 rules are, firstly, I don't want a rainbow in the examination. So please don't change colors. One line in blue color, then red color, then green color, then nobody wants that. And you are not doing something a path breaking by doing that also. Because you have to write that answer in 7 to 8 minutes. Nobody has the time to change the pen. You will keep on changing the pen only. And in the end, you will spill the pen ink everywhere and your examination will be over. You use blue, you use blue, you use black, you use black, and don't use a pencil also. Just underline with the pen. It's a race, not a essay writing competition in your school. That the more flowers I will make, I will get more marks. Second, grammar, handwriting, aesthetics matters. As much as any random expert says it doesn't, it does. Some people stop writing English, just write keywords. Gandhi Chauri Chaura, stopped NCM. Civil disobedience, salt satyagrah, stopped. Round table conference, is and ink kab kha gaya. Everything you ate. You can write with black pen, blue pen, there is nothing. UPSC doesn't care blue or black. They care what you write. And the paper is as it is blank. There's no ruling here. So you should be able to also write straight. I am going. Not like I am going. Because the examiner should be able to see something like this. Not something like this. And why am I saying this? Because grammar is what you eat the first thing. Second thing is handwriting matters. As much as people would say it doesn't, When you start to write very quickly, you start to write for yourself. Random. Some other script you go into from Roman English or Devanagari, which you only know. Sir, लिखा तो है. I have written everything. What is written? Oh, doctor's language you will start to write. According to you, this is Gandhi was in non-cooperation. So before you comment on my handwriting, remember your handwriting matters. Mine doesn't. Now, third thing. No spelling mistakes. Gandhi should be Gandhi, not and Chauri Chora is to be written like this only. I have seen my students write. And I'm telling you, proper MA students, Chori Chori. Jinnah. Jinn. Nehru. Please. This much is expected from a UPSC aspirant that you write the right spellings. Third thing, I've seen that. Which pen is good? I don't get sponsorship for anyone. So I am not going to tell you, use Pilot V5. ये है यूपीएससी वालों का पेन. That this is UPSC's pen. No, I don't care. People say Pilot V5, V7, Uniball. See, don't buy that 2 rupee one because it will finish within one answer. So don't save money there. The pen should not basically damage the paper and should not stop your handwriting. So use and throw, don't use. And use a waterproof ballpoint or ballproof gel pen. Doesn't matter what ink, what company, I don't really care. So buying a 85 rupees pen is not going to make you write the answer better because the pen is not going to write the answer. You will. You can't use that use and throw because the ink is very less. You will keep on using write an answer, throw it. Then write an answer again, throw it. I know how much ink is there in that. And if you will say, sir, what qualifies you to tell us these things and how dare you tell us these things? Because throughout my BA honors and my masters, in 3 hours, I was writing close to 45 pages. 45 pages, which is 20 to 25 sheets. So I know what I'm saying. Now, make a pencil margin. That is totally your call. But you will start to give it up after a point. I know that also because you will not have the time. You make it, that is totally your call. Now, if the basic ground rules are clear, can we look at the question? Cello pens are good. Pilot pens are good. Uniball is very good. Reynolds is very good. If once I get a sponsorship for some of them, I will surely tell you which is the best. But all are good. All are good, doesn't matter. How many pages for 150 to 50? Doesn't matter. And don't you get it? I can write, somebody can write 150 in one page itself. If your handwriting is bad, it will become 1.5 page. There's no set plan. You can make a margin in the paper because the margin is not given. Margin you can make if you want to. Okay, now first 2021 question. I've already discussed the questions which came in the examination. If you remember, I've already discussed it with you. Now I'm discussing these questions with you. Okay. Trace the rise and growth of socialist reform movement with special reference to Young Bengal and Brahmo Samaj. 150 word question 2021. Now, basically, this is asking you factors responsible for the socio-religious reform movement to start. And you have to give 20 to 30 words about Young Bengal and Brahmo Samaj. Now, in this type of question, you have introduction, you have body, you have conclusion. In the introduction, talk about how the British or how in India there is a problem that women's issues and depressed class issues dominated Indian society over the centuries. And in the first part of the body, answer the first part of the question. Answer every part of the question. First part of the body is going to be that what is the trace, the rise and growth. The rise of the social justice reform movement is based on what? Is based on what? Is based on what? Rise of social justice reform movement is based on a response to the British criticism which is coming about Indian civilization. Beautiful. So here you have to talk about what I told you initially, which is how the white man's burden moral justification was used to argue that India was a savage civilization, and therefore there was a need for the British to be here, and therefore they started this criticism. Then if you remember, I gave you a ring. Do you remember that ring in the PPT? It showed Western education, middle class elite, plus criticism. Missionary criticism, modern education. If you can summarize that ring, you get the first part of the answer. Now it is saying, with reference to Young Bengal and Brahmo Samaj, write something. So you will write that the Brahmo Samaj movement was started by. Now here you can't write whole the infighting. You will cite Brahmo Samaj started by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. It was based on the ideas of Brahmoism, monotheism, and was against sati, against caste system, was against the concept of what we call as the religious intermediaries, talked about women's education also and reform. And the Young Bengal movement was started by Derozio. His students took it forward, too radical for their own time, but questioned colonialism. In the conclusion, write that the rise of the socio-religious reform movement was very important phase in Indian history because it changed the course of social history of India. Now you tell me that do you have less things to write here or more things to write here than 150? It is not the game to fill the pages. It's to answer very clearly. You have a lot to write and you have to write it within 150. So the student who will become emotional over Young Bengal or Brahmo Samaj is going to write one part too much. Write why rise and growth, point wise, rise and growth based on education, criticism, missionary activity, and write one line on them. And second is going to be Brahmo Samaj, Young Bengal, 2 points each. And your job is done. You don't have to show to the examiner that you know the whole full socialist movement and that Raja Ram Mohan Roy was your uncle. Nobody is asking his life history. Nobody is asking about Devendranath Tagore. Nobody is asking about Atmiya Sabha. Nobody is asking you about the split. Nobody is asking you the story of Brahmo Samaj. Precisely answer what they're asking. Rise, growth. That's it. IFS writing issues, conclusions in history. Conclusion will always be either supporting or refuting or telling them consequence. Can I show you one more question? How do you approach it? Does this make sense? Does this make sense? Yes? Okay. I think we've already done this also. Clarify how mid-18th century India was beset with specter of a fragmented polity. Now, this question is an English literature question. Beset means marked by. Spectre means dotted or characteristic or characterized by. So this question basically is telling you, clarify how mid 18th century, 1750, was marked by fragmented polity. This question is about which area? About which area? This question is about the regional kingdoms directly. Regional kingdoms. Successor states, rebel states. Introduction, body, conclusion. They can't be talking about conquering or expansion because it says mid 18th century. Plassey happens when? Plassey happens when? 1757. It's saying mid 18th century, exactly 1750. How many questions must we write in mains? All of them. Why will you leave questions? Introduction. After the decline. Now listen to me. Obviously, I'm not writing it down. Listen to me. Fragmented polity means divided polity. Divided polity. You very simply say Mughal decline in the Indian subcontinent led to the fragmentation of polity in India into successor states and rebel states. And the following were the spectre of fragmented polity in India. Body. Bengal. Murshid Quli Khan was able to make Bengal independent. And from Murshid Quli Khan to Sirajuddaula, Bengal became an independent zone, prosperous zone of the Indian subcontinent. Nobody is asking you anything else. Move on. Hyderabad was based on Nizamul Mulk Asaf Jah becoming independent. Move on. Carnatic. Sharadullah Khan made his area independent once Nizamul Mulk emerged. Move on. Very simply, you are going to give the list of all these fragmented polities and conclude by arguing, based on the above discussion, we can see that yes, now just quote the question again. Yes, the mid 18th century India was beset with spectre of fragmented polity. It's asking you to clarify. You already know the answer. The problem is not that you don't know how to answer. The problem is you don't know how to look at the question. The problem is that this question seems to be a little bit difficult. If you understand the question, you will always write the best answer. The problem is the question. The problem is the vocabulary. Beset with spectre of fragmented polity. That is the problem. UPSC does this. How many you have to write? Write all of them. One line on each will not kill you. Marathas, Sikh, Awadh, Bengal, Hyderabad, Carnatic, Jats, Rajputana. Now you tell me, is this question difficult? Has it come out of something I have not taught you? Rohil, sure. Has it come from something which I have not taught you? But the problem is that, do we have to write concessions? Did it say right to concessions? Did it ask you that how did the British expand in India, or how did Jahangir sell off India, or what is the way the British expanded India? Then why are you writing something? What you're trying? This is what happens. You try to say that I have learned, so I will write for sure. Write what they are asking. Remember one thing. Be specific. Because in your colleges, and I have taught for 6 years in Delhi University, I know what you do. I will write what I know, you ask what you want to ask. लिखूंगा भाई जो आता है, कुछ भी पूछ लो. I will only write what I know. The question is about something, I will write everything. Don't know. You find it where it is. This is what UPSC checks. Can you write specific things? And what you need is Practice, 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 practice. 2 to 3 answer writing practice in a week will be something which will help you generally. Because if you start writing after prelims, it will never come to you, because you have to have speed, accuracy, and handwriting, all three together. Now, examine critically the various facets of economic policies of the British in India from mid 18th century till independence. Again, very hi-fi language. Examine critically, that we were obviously going to do. Facets, aspects, economic policy, land revenue, commercialization, deindustrialization, drain, from mid 18th century. Now you tell me, are you capable of writing the basic points? Nobody is going to write a thesis. See, it will take you 45 minutes one day, it will take you 30 minutes one day, it will take you 10 minutes next day. You don't, when you started to work, you did not start to run first. Practice, it will make you perfect. Time, accuracy, language, everything. Now, 1750 to 1947, are you capable of telling them land revenue policy? No one, all of them. That British introduced in India land revenue settlements in the form of permanent Rayatwari, Mahalwari, and all of them were based on overassessment. Therefore, it destroyed the peasantry. Because of land revenue settlement, there was a need for more revenue, so commercialization was introduced, and crops such as indigo, opium, silk, and pepper was used to loot India. Based on the fact that there was less grains, our weavers started to lose their grain wage, and in turn led to the concept of deindustrialization, where a weaver did not have work. Industrial revolution destroyed the market. Together, all of these aspects or facets are called the drain of wealth in India. Conclusion: India was looted from mid 18th century to independence. I'm not ratified these answers. I'm making this in front of you. But because I have clarity here, which I'm trying to give it to you, I'm writing this answer. There's a reason why I am telling you everything is connected. If you understand land revenue, commercialization, deindustrialization, drain together, you will never forget this answer, or you will never actually find a problem in writing answers. Writing answers is not about ratification. It's about understanding the question and linking what is there in your mind. A student can be a very good ratification. Give him the book and by page number he can ratify. That person will succeed in the prelims, maybe. But he will very, very badly perform in mains. Because he has the whole Lakshmikant in his mind, the whole of Bipin Chandra in his mind, but he does not know how to put it down on paper. So very simply, writing right answers is more important than showing to the examiner that you know too much. You can make subheadings if you want to, but not very bold subheadings that you're writing it down and then doing deindustrialization. No, simple subheadings. How to write introduction for every answer? There is no, see, there's a culture which has developed. The people who don't understand things also want you to do the same. They will say, make introduction for everything, learn it. Ratification of introduction also. Now tell that person that if he knows the paper, what the question is going to come, then tell us also. If he's already leaked the paper, then tell us. Because out of one theme, I can make 10 questions. At this rate, I am learning close to Lakshmikant length of introductions only. Writing introduction is about, no, I've told you, the key to writing introduction is to write the historical context. Every historical context is enough. That's it. Now you see, Beautiful question. How much time can we take to write 150? Ideally 7-8 minutes. But you can't do that right now. Take 45 minutes. First, write properly. This handwriting speed will increase. Don't worry about that. The 1857 uprising was the culmination of a recurrent big and small local rebellions that occurred in the preceding 100 years of the British rule. Elucidate. This is the exact thing which we discussed in class. That 1857 is not a unprecedented concept. It is part of a larger story of resistance. Here, what you have to write is the causes and emphasize on the last cause, which is the peasant and tribal movements as a recurrent big and small rebellion. I have given you a question similar to this, but this question came in 2019. But the point is, again, it is 150 words. See, as a humanities student, I've been all throughout like that, BA honors, MA, MPhil, PhD. For me, it is about controlling my urge because I can write page after page on this. So for me, the trouble is to write 150 words. For some of you, it will be the other way around. That you can't make up 150 words. So we both are in the same aspect, same coin, two aspects. I can't control my urge. You can't make up the answer. So do one thing. Let's come to the middle ground. Write what is asked in the question. Okay. Now tell me one thing. What is this question? Explain how the uprising of 1857 constitutes an important watershed in the evolution of British policies towards colonial India. You just tell me what is the question. What do you have to tell them about? Government of India Act 1858. The changes in the army, White Mutiny, new structure, and company to crown rule. Significance? Watershed, Charan, you asked me yesterday also, today you're asking. Watershed means moment which is important. So in 24 hours, you have forgot what watershed means. Now, why did the moderates fail to carry conviction with the nation about their proclaimed ideology and political goals by the end of 19th century? Now, this is again a question of English literature. They are basically asking, why did the moderates fail? यही है ना question. This is the question. Why did the moderates fail? Conviction of nation on the proclaimed ideology, political goals by the end of 19th century. Method, criticism, end of story. Done. Done. PPP. Done. So, thank you. I will see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend and 3 days of rest. Use it to revise. The students who have joined me late, please watch the videos again. Come up to speed by Monday. By Tuesday. Tuesday, we start the most important concept, which is now we will enter proper nationalism, which we Swadeshi, Home Rule League, Gandhian politics. By Friday, most probably we'll be talking about Jallianwala Bagh. Again, where I'll give you an interesting perspective because my own PhD coursework is on Jallianwala Bagh. Right? Okay. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. See you on Tuesday. Bye-bye. I hope that now the fear of these questions, generally you are now developing a certain understanding of modern India rather than ratifying it with me. My only pursuit here is to make everything logically linked and create a certain understanding. Because if you can understand history, then you will never have to learn history. Monday is Guru Nanak Jayanti. I'm giving you a holiday. It is immaterial why it is a holiday. Enjoy it. I'm giving you a holiday. So, if and but question critically analyze of what? But Guru Nanak Jayanti. Okay. Now I have idea about mains. Perfect, Shabir. Perfect. Thank you. Take care.